an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, considering revisions to Title 19 zoning of the Buellton Municipal Code 20-ZOA-03 relating to animal raising and keeping, amending section 19.06.020, and this is the second reading. Kara Mesh, you're on.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Just short 2 weeks ago, on January 28th, this City Council introduced and held the first reading of Ordinance 21-01, an ordinance amending Title 19 zoning of the Buellton Municipal Code pertaining to animal raising and keeping. The recommendation tonight is that the City Council consider adoption of this ordinance, which again will allow one large animal, like horses, goats, and pigs, per every 20,000 square feet on a residentially zoned lot, with a maximum of 3 pigs and 5 other large animals. And this concludes my report for tonight. I'm available for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Kara? Okay, then before we get on, I will open it up for public comment. Linda, do we have any of the public who want to speak on this?
No comments tonight.
Okay, closing it then, bringing it back to council for discussion and possible action.
I would like to make a motion, and I also just wanted to point out, like I pointed out at the last meeting, for anyone who might not have been here for the first read, that there is a 4-H/FFA exception for those kids in livestock projects. So with that in mind, I would like to move to approve ordinance number 21-01, an ordinance of the City Council, ordinance 20-ZOA-03. Do I have to read the whole title, or is that okay?
Just by title only and waive further reading.
Oh, okay, and waive further reading, yes.
Second.
Perfect. And that was Councilman King.
Yes, ma'am.
Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Lewis.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing up the FFA, Future Farmers of America.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, appointment of a council member to serve on the Aquatics Ad Hoc Committee. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
yeah.
Yes.
prior to doing this, I work at the San Ynez High School that is involved with the San Ynez Aquatics facility. So there's probably a potential conflict of interest. So with that, I'm going to recuse myself during the discussion of this agenda item. And when you're through with it, I will back to the meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. In March of last year, the City Council created an Aquatics Ad Hoc Committee for the purpose of working with various organizations in the community to create or to, let's say, facilitate the renovation and construction of a new aquatic center at the San Ynez Valley High School campus. At the time, the City Council appointed Councilmember King and then Vice Mayor Mercado to serve on that committee. Vice Mayor Mercado is no longer a member of the City Council, and so therefore it is appropriate at this time for the City Council to appoint a member to take Mr. Mercado's place. As Councilmember Lewis noted, it would not be appropriate for her to serve on this due to a potential conflict of interest. So at the council's pleasure, we'd like to see one other council member added to this committee. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on that.
Thank you very much. If there are no questions about this, I'm going to open it to the public, probably close it really quickly. Linda, do we have anybody who wants to talk about the appointment to the Aquatics Ad Hoc?
No, ma'am.
All righty, then I'm closing that down, bringing it back for discussion. I'm hoping, Dave, that you're still interested on serving?
Yes, ma'am. I was in on the jump on this,
Mhm.
And so I can continue with that. I think it is going to be a good project. I'm just hoping we can get the money to get this thing going.
I agree. The city of Buellton was one of the first communities, first groups to jump on this. And yeah, not getting that state grant last year was painful. So I'm hoping that perhaps our Vice Mayor Sanchez might be willing to serve on the ad hoc committee with you, unless anybody else. Ed, do you have any strong desire?
No, ma'am, I think you got a great suggestion there.
I'll
Vice
second that
Mayor
motion.
You got nothing else to do, right,
And
John?
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Second.
All righty. I don't know that we need a vote, but since we're zooming, Linda, why don't you go ahead? We had a motion and a second.
And who, I didn't get,
Vice
Vice
Mayor
Mayor Sanchez.
Sanchez made the motion. Councilman King seconded.
No, I think Ed made the motion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ed made the
Oh
motion.
my
I seconded
God,
it.
really? I'm just not here
Vice
today.
It's okay.
It would be
Still looking at dollar signs from
I know.
that.
Seconded it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dave.
could we touch that, Mark, again? Is it possible to reapply for a grant, or what amount of money are we asking for?
I don't have the numbers in front of me tonight. It's a rather large number, and we are
Oh.
pursuing that and other grant opportunities in the future. Yes.
Super.
If
Okay.
my memory serves me, I think it's around $3 million.
Yeah, I believe so. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to talk to some people with a lot of extra Benjamins.
Yeah, it's Lexuses for everybody.
There you go. Okay.
Okay. Linda, do we need
Okay.
a, yeah, go ahead.
Councilmember Andrusik,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis,
Recused.
She's
I recuse.
recused.
Vice Mayor Sanchez,
Aye.
and Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you. Now we can call Alicia back to the table.
That was quick.
There she is. Okay, good. Good job. Okay. Agenda item number 5, discussion of goals and objectives for our biannual budget. Finance Director Chanel Zamora, you're up.
Madam Mayor and City Council members, tonight's discussion will focus on goal setting for the biannual budget for the upcoming fiscal years 2021-22 and 2022-23. The goal setting stage is the beginning of the biannual budget process, which helps link short-term goals with the resources required to achieve these goals that help guide the budget for the next 2 fiscal years. In the development of the budget, the city follows best budget practices guidelines provided by the NACSLP, which is the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting, and the Government Officers Association, the GFOA. The 4 principles of the NACSLBN budgeting framework are to establish broad goals to guide government decision-making, develop approaches to achieve those goals and objectives, develop a budget consistent with the approaches to achieve these goals, and evaluate performance and make adjustments, which are done in our quarterly reports. City Council will focus on the first 2 principles tonight of establishing goals and objectives. In addition, City Council can review the mission statement. The mission statement guides the City Council's goals, strategies, and program and activities. In the development of the new budget goals, City Council should consider the current goals and accomplishments, set new goals and objectives, and review upcoming challenges. The current budget goals and the current goals in the budget that were developed were developed with the Buellton Vision Plan as a foundation. These goals were to maintain a balanced budget, support trails and bike funds, continue to support economic development, implement the vision plan, sound planning and development, emergency preparedness, maintain infrastructure and sustainability, and promote arts and cultures. The city has made progress accomplishing these goals, and the list of accomplishments can be referenced in the staff report, so I won't go into detail There are a few challenges to consider for the next 2 years that are outlined in your staff report. The biggest challenge is the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic length and the uncertainty of the vaccine availability to the public. Recovery in sales tax and transit occupancy tax from COVID-19 impacts may not be immediate and will take a couple of years to reach pre-COVID-19 amounts. I did have a sales tax meeting today with HDL. So the good news is that recovery in sales tax will be a little faster. We're seeing the numbers in the next 2 years be pre-COVID-19. In parts of that is because of the Wayfair decision. So cities are getting a larger pool of the online sales. So that's actually helped us in Buellton. The auto and transportation, Buellton has seen above average state numbers thanks to our auto dealerships. So that has helped in the recovery and sales tax be much faster than other jurisdictions in the state. And I think that's what makes Buellton unique, is having those auto sales in such a small populated area. But TOT, definitely we need to think about, how long that's going to take for it to be pre-COVID numbers. Another thing to keep in mind is that the sewer fund is still running a deficit. Even with the rate increases, it helped a little bit, but the water fund definitely is in the black now. Sewer fund is still struggling. Improvements to wastewater and water infrastructure is another thing to keep in mind. And unfunded pension liabilities continue to increase. There's also an increase to future annual retiree medical benefit payments. We've had a lot of more retirees in the last couple of years that are receiving benefits. And one thing to keep in mind is that as employees retire, that number is going to keep going up annually. Recruitment for filling vacant positions and retaining current employees. The steadily increasing cost of law enforcement services and response to continuing streams of state mandates, a variety of issues. So these are some challenges that we need to think about in the next 2 years when we're preparing the budget. For tonight's discussion, City Council should analyze its current goals and add or move goals, set new or modify current objectives while considering these potential challenges. Staff recommends that City Council review the mission statement, goals, objectives, and include them as part of the development of the biennial budget for the fiscal years 2021-22 and 2022-23. And I am open to any questions City Council may have before opening up for discussion.
Thank you. Any questions for Chanel? I had a couple, Chanel, on the challenges that you gave us. One was the unfunded pension liabilities continue to increase. Didn't our council 2 to 4 years ago decide to increase what we are paying to try to work it down? I can't hear you.
Yeah, so City Council had decided to pay as a 20-year amortization period versus the 30. And for the contribution year 2021-22, it's the first year that it's at a 20-year. So not all cities are at a 20-year. So we're going to have to reevaluate, and which will come to City Council in the next few meetings, is what I'm trying to develop is a pension stabilization reserve or policy. Because now it's going to be 20-year, and every year the CalPERS submits or provides the annual report, which shows, okay, this is your 20-year and this is recommended to save you interest. So now that we are 20, they're recommending a 15 or 10. It depends on what the City Council strategy is. So that's one thing to think about.
Because that was a big jump for us too. Change it to the 20-year. That was a big increase in our budget for that. And now the state's mandating 20 years, and they're talking about cities going to 10 to 15 year.
That's It's 20-year, but if cities have the revenue and they want to pay down the unfunded liability faster, those are options.
Okay.
They don't have, the city doesn't have to choose to do those options.
Okay, I thought we had done
Mhm.
that, but my only other question with challenges, and they're all truly legitimate challenges, the increase in future annual retiree medical benefit payments. I'm just curious, does the city pay 100% of retiree medical benefit payments, or do the retirees pay a portion of it? I know the federal government, that we get a little bit of a break, but we still are responsible. How does that work for city retirees?
It's a cap of $800 per month
Okay,
on health insurance.
okay. Okay, and then,
As compared to what number? And then is it about 2,000 without that 800?
It varies what plan
Okay,
they choose, but the city only pays up to 800.
got it.
okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In regards to the challenges with recruiting qualified employees and keeping employees, how do we handle as a city negotiations? Is it annual, biannual? Is it per person? How do negotiations work? And is there any increase inherent in our budget already? Or is that something that would not be added to the budget until a collective bargaining agreement, or whatever the term is for the city, equivalence would be? Like, is it already in the budget, or is it something that we're going to need to add, and when would we do so? That type of thing.
So we do not have any union in the city, so there's no bargaining units. We usually do it we give employees a COLA, and that usually happens around the springtime. And at that point, city council decides whether or not to give employees a pay increase. The budget kind of projects a 2% increase, but it's ultimately to the city council when it's brought up to them to approve that COLA.
And do the city employees bring that to us, or is it something that the city council has to request to get on the
No.
agenda?
It's city staff that will bring it to city council.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we had started a couple years ago, Linda, our human resource director, brought it to our attention that the city is paying less than other cities for some positions. We looked at, I think we increased wastewater positions, and we were going to look at other city positions. And I think that might be something to bring up when we set up our goals for the next couple of years. Because
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in looking at wages and where they sit in relation to, our county and our city and cost of living and that type of thing.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions for Chanel before the public?
Madam Mayor, I do have one question. How are we
Please.
tracking with our sewer fund? I thought with our increases in water and sewer that we were trending in an upward direction. Is that not still correct? Chanel?
Water is.
The water is, the sewer is lagging a little bit. And what we noticed has to kind of do with COVID, because sewer is built, you have the monthly sewer charge and businesses have a sewer quantity. And because a lot of the hotels were closed, we noticed that sewer quantity dropped significantly. So that's something to think about in the future, is if we ever do a rate study, is kind of looking at that rate structure for the sewer fund.
Right, but in the past, I've noticed that we're trending up in both of those, water, because we made the increases on both water and sewer. We're still trending in the upward direction of
Yes.
the sewer. So we're saying that we have a deficit is really, it's still moving in this right direction, correct? We're not like in a deficit like we were in the past.
No, it's I think a few $1,000 deficit versus.
So your projection is pretty close to us to be at least at a break-even point.
Yeah, we're close to that.
Okay, good. All right.
That
thank
may
you.
not last for very long, though. We may find that trend changes over the next year or two, given inflation and such. It may not be sufficient to support that any longer.
My
And-
understanding was water is doing well, but the sewer, unless we do another rate increase, that sewer will not go into the black. Is that correct?
Well, sewer was in the black, but only a little bit last fiscal or 18-19. 2021, it was in the red, but only for a few thousand. So there's a trend that it's been improving. It's just not where we thought we would be at this point after the rate increase.
So, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Please.
So in your projection, where are we going to be at the break-even point? Chanel?
It's hard for me to say right now because I don't have the data in front of me.
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to hold you accountable.
Yeah, but if you want, I can find
next
out
meeting.
and email you if you want
Okay,
to know
yeah.
those numbers. Okay.
Yeah, if you would, I kind of want to see where, if in your projection, where we're going to be at least the break-even point, and we're not at a deficit on that. So if you can, just send me
Okay.
that email and I'll take a look at it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because as we set goals for the next 2 years, I know Ed and I did the water sewer study that got a lot of complaints from the public, but we were in the red. We hadn't had, I mean, Dave, when you were on council, we did just a nominal increase to try to bump it. And then the state mandated that we had to go through a special examiner and the whole bit. I'm just wondering, can we get by the next couple of years without having to do another water sewer study, or is that something that's indicated at this time? I don't know. And is it smart to do it during when we've had a COVID pandemic? Who knows?
I just had
Well,
a quick comment.
Madam Mayor, if I can just momentarily, Chanel, was part of this because of the state's requirements for the screening of our drains and such? Was that part of something that cost us a little bit more money for our sewer? What I'm saying is all the screening that we had to put citywide based on the state's
Operating
requirements
costs.
that we do that on all of our, and maybe Scott knows the answer to this.
That would be storm drains,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And that this is a separate.
That's a separate line item.
A separate fund
Yeah.
that deals with just general fund. It wouldn't affect the sewer fund.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm clear on that now. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council before we go to public?
I had one. I was just wondering
Certainly.
if it wasn't for COVID and the low occupancy in the hotels, would the revenue be higher? You know, if we sold more water, we would be in a better position. So part of this thing was with the COVID is less income. Is that right? And is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say. Like I said, that the deficit last year was so minimal. I think if we had that smaller extra revenue, we would be in the black. But
Thank
like
you.
I said, yeah, definitely one thing to think about, especially with inflation, like Scott said, and increasing operating costs. You know, that's just something to think about and moving forward.
I think if the hotels start filling up again, we'll get more income in the water, and hopefully it was just an observation.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Good.
You're welcome.
Councilman Andrusik, any questions before I go to public?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I'll go to public for any input. Linda, do we have anybody?
No comments.
All righty, closing it for the public, then bringing it back. Staff recommends that City Council develop a mission statement. First of all, if everybody looked at the mission statement, I think it's still a good mission statement. Did anybody, our mission statement, which was last updated about 2 years ago, was to strive to provide the highest quality of life for its residents in the most sustainable and efficient manner. Does anybody want to make any changes, have any suggestions for changes, or is the mission statement still good today?
No,
I think it's
we're moving in
realistic.
the right
applicable.
direction.
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
Okay,
Realistic.
good. That's easy. Now comes the trickier part, set goals and objectives and identify priorities to include as part of the development of the biannual budget for fiscal years. Alicia, I'm sure Scott has probably sat down and talked to you. We now do a budget every 2 years for city council, and we start in about April. And of course, it has to be approved and set up by July 1 for our fiscal year. We've tried to get it done by the beginning of May. We've been known to go into the end of June. This council, for the most part, is very proactive. We like to take it apart and really work on a budget so that we know it's good. Next meeting, we will be getting a breakdown of where the budget currently stands with in relation to expenses and income. So setting goals does include money, of course, but goals would be, to maintain a balanced budget. That's kind of a no-brainer. Support and fund trails and bike paths. We have a fund doing that. I don't know whether we want to try to put more money into it or whether we just continue it as it is. I think it's, is it 25 or 50,000 a year now?
It's 20,
25.
20,000 general fund, 20,000 LTF, so 40,000.
Okay. Continue to support economic development. I think this council, we do that. We are very conservative and we are not development hungry, but we do it in a smart way. Implement the vision plan. The last time we had that one was to complete median 2 on Avenue of Flags. Do we want to see any implementation of the vision plan? We've got just everything about set, arts and culture, trails. Avenue of Flags was one of the big ones. Councilman Andrusik?
Madam Mayor, with the mention of the Island 2, I believe it's Island 2, can we get an update on the timetable? People are asking when will they be able to park there, or when will we be using that? It appears to be complete, or maybe we just need a status report.
It's by and large complete. There's one last component that needs to be finished before we can release it, before the contractor will release it for public access. Otherwise, they'd be liable for damage that the public may
Makes sense.
impose on it. I would suspect within the next month that'll be open. We're going to have a formal ceremony on that sometime probably in early March. If there's a way to open it before that, we'll certainly let the city council know. On that note, the city council may want to remove that objective from this list of goals and replace it with something else. And I don't know, Chanel or Rose, maybe is median 3, or median 3, is that the next project on the avenue, or?
Yes.
So maybe we shift from median 2 to median 3 as far as implementation of the vision plan for the Avenue of Flags.
So maybe to complete the design, give us 2 years to actually, we've been given so many design concepts. I don't think figuring out the design of median 3 would be as expensive. With COVID-19, I hate to put a lot of money into anything right now.
Here.
Yeah, but I would like
I
to
agree.
move forward. So maybe we could work to complete design of median 3 in the next 2 years.
Ooh.
Agreed.
That's,
Two
The
and a half.
current goals and objectives, number 5 was sound planning and development. Update the circulation element, which we are doing, are loose. Improve Highway 246 safety. I know we got the crosswalk at Sycamore and 246, but it's still not enough. So I think we need to leave that one in there
I agree.
and adopt a complete street plan. Those all sound good to me. Does anybody have any other ideas, any additions, any deletions?
No, I think this is a very good plan. I think we ought to just keep marching on.
That's right.
Keep
Adopt
going,
it and
okay.
have frequent updates so we don't lose faith in it.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see a goal that was centered around community engagement and community, I guess, community development and engagement, something that helps get our community involved and engaged with the council activities and the city as a whole. I feel like we're a lot of, different people and different entities working, but I don't see a whole lot of unity. And I would like if we could come up with some kind of goal that would help foster that type of engagement and connectivity.
Okay. Any ideas? Any kind of something that
So-
would bring the community together? I mean, we're working on the farmers market still, I believe.
Right, Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
When you and I first came on the city council, we had a community forum over at the
Mhm.
Oak Valley. So perhaps we could, in the future, do something where we're all up on the stage, community's out there, they can really address us and say what their vision for the future is. And that was kind of the vision for the Avenue of Flags. So possibly we could do another forum like that where people can come in and personally address us, post-COVID, obviously.
Right.
And do what you and I did back, 2008, 2009, whatever that was, and really have the community come in and say, hey, this is what we see going forward for the city of Buellton, which we did with the Avenue of Flags. So maybe in future we could do that and have people come in and say, hey, at least we're addressing the city council personally and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. This is how we see it. We want to keep it small town feeling or, start developing, whatever the case is. But I think that's something that we could maybe do in the near future.
I
was
like that.
hoping to
Go ahead.
at the schools we do a little bit less informal stuff like coffee with the principal or I was thinking maybe a series of coffee with a council member and it's just 1 or 2 of us at a time and then maybe some of the key players coffee with the sheriff, coffee with so and so that they can get to know the people that are engaged in the day-to-day operations and leading of their city, because I don't think a whole lot of people know Chanel, Andrea, Kara, Dave, any of us, they don't really know us very well. And if we can do a series where they can just come and get to know us, I don't know how many people would actually do it, but I think it might be good to, start getting some engagement.
Yeah. No, I like that. We have done mayor's hours. I know Ed did that and I've done that. And it's really disappointing. I mean, I thought mayor's hours that I'd get a lot more public and input. I thought people liked me a lot more than it was like, where are they?
I don't know,
Sometimes no
Marcy,
news is good news.
I got a lot of homework. I got a lot of reading done.
I have waited in line more times than I can count to get in to see you during your mayor's hours. You were doing just fine.
Well,
Madam Mayor, if I can make a suggestion here.
Yeah.
I think that the community engagement goal is a good one, and it deserves a little more time and a little more attention to explore this. And in its early stage right now, we're not really yet prepared to throw any kind of financial resources at it because we don't have a plan, and therefore it may not be really appropriate as a budgetary goal moving forward at this point. But we are going to have a discussion of council priorities, which tend to deal with more immediate things that may or may not have direct budgetary impact at our council retreat coming up here in a few weeks. And I would be happy to put this on the agenda as a point of discussion, and we can move forward with some of these, if we want to call them, initial steps moving forward after that meeting. And then sometime in the next year, if the council decides you want to implement certain programs that may have a budgetary impact, we can revisit these and add them to the budget as formal budget goals.
That's good. I like that. And Alicia,
Walk
I think we're all 100% behind you. You know, the reason we're on council is to listen to constituents and act on their behalf. And you can't do that if you're not hearing from them. So I think we all agree that Ed's got the best seat in the house for listening to the public, but he's about the only one. So yeah, I think that's important to all of us. Okay, so emergency preparedness, acquire a generator for City Hall. We still need to do that, correct?
Yes.
Continue to provide CERT classes. We haven't provided CERT classes for about 2 years now. So we need to find some CERT training to be able to provide it. I think probably 30% of the town has had CERT training. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them, and I think there's still a lot of us out there that would be interested. And research emergency lights and generators.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah. Ed.
You know, that we have I think all of us are in different community groups. We have a pretty good sized homeowner association in Ranch Club, and I think other developments do also. And maybe we could, I'd be willing to approach the board and ask them to give us their input, what they would like to see from the council, maybe open the conversation, because I think Felicia was talking about, you know, get a dialogue going with people. And I think we just need to reach out, and it's going to take homeowners doing it, not paid employees to give the impact.
You know, and Ranch Club has always been very, very kind to invite us to come and speak to their monthly meetings and let them know what's going on in the community. And I think Ranch Club is probably more involved than any other group in the town. So that's a good idea.
It comes and goes, but maybe if we come at it from about 6 different sides, we can make the community aware that we do want to get their input, have engagement, and follow through. Follow through is the biggest thing that all communities fall apart on, and follow through. We set it up, we organize it, and nobody follows up, or very few. So worth a try.
I agree.
Okay.
The next one, maintain infrastructure and sustainability, lighting on Industrial Way and Central Avenue. Hopefully that will be done soon. Do we want to keep that in as I guess it is still a current goal, an objective. Maintain the landscape rebate program. That one's really done well this year. And look at drought landscape standards.
I think those are all good to keep, especially with the report we just got from the water board. So that's probably even more important in the coming months.
Yeah, I agree. Promote arts and culture. Create an arts and culture committee. We've already done that. Do we need to kind of delete the promote arts and culture, or do we want to just leave it in as promoting it to maintain an arts and culture committee? We don't maintain a green team committee. We don't, I don't know that needs to be there, but whatever you guys think.
I don't think it needs to be a goal. It's been a goal that's met, I think, and we'll stay on top of it, but.
It
I don't
sounds
think
like
it
it. Okay, so we don't need number 8 as a current goal and objective. So we have done the mission statement, set goals and objective, and identify priorities to include as the development of the biannual budget. I think we've pretty well done that. The getting the community involved isn't part of our budget, but I do think that's important. And yeah, the only other goal is was to revisit city job classification and rates. And I thought we were going to start with wastewater and then, wastewater or water, and then just hit different categories. And we never really moved any farther than that. So perhaps that would be worth putting in as I don't know if it's a goal or a priority of council to make sure. We just lost one of our water employees who went back to Los Alamos, learned some good stuff in Buellton, and then left us for, I guess, Los Alamos paid more. I don't know. But like Alicia, Linda had done a really good job of comparing our jobs compared to other cities in the county. And it was, I don't know, Ed, I know you were there then. I don't know, Dave, if you were there when we got our list. It was a pretty complete study of what our employees made versus other employees. I think perhaps we need to revisit that in the next 2 years.
I would support that being a budget objective, given that it's so strongly tied to the budget. And it seems like if we put them on as a goal and objective, that it's more likely to be focused on.
Madam Mayor, if you'd like, I would be happy to
Yes.
To do a little wordsmithing before this comes back to the city council and develop some language for a goal that would that would focus around ensuring that city staff has the ability, or the city has the ability to recruit and retain quality staff over the long period, over the long term. I can bring that back. As just as a side note, Linda and I have been having some discussions in recent weeks about some changes that may need to take place or would be beneficial, and we'll be bringing something back to the city council here probably in the next couple of months on that item, just as an informational item. Obviously, one of the big holdups or obstacles we're going to have in that regard is the lack of revenue due to COVID. But as that starts to re-evolve, having this goal as part of one of our budgetary goals will give us the ability to kind of move in the right direction there. So if you'd like, I can come back. The next time you see this list of objectives, it'll have that new goal. And then we'll follow up with a report here in the next month or two with a plan moving forward.
I had
That
a
sounds
question.
good. Council, that works. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I had a question. At one time we had, one of the positions was for a lead operator, would be more of like a crew chief type of guy. Then I know that we have it set up. We have a water guy and a wastewater guy, and Rose is the crew chief operator. And I was wondering, on the job descriptions, it's more of a lead on one side or the other. And I would like to think about having a full-time guy that's more hands-on of both, that's in both fields. I know we've been split up before, making it one water guy and trying to share duties, but I think it'd be a goal to have somebody that, more of a runaround, utility guy on both sides. too.
You're reading our minds. That
That was at one time a position in there, and I don't know whether it got eliminated or bypassed or what happened. Thank you.
I think things have evolved over time, and what we're looking at right now is a potential need to evolve further to meet the current and future needs of the city going forward here. So we will discuss that and bring it back to the city council, and we'll look for your direction.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Anything else from council?
I had an idea to run
Yes.
in the goals. One is with the avenue. I've talked to Scott before about there's a couple spots we could fit some truck parking in the South Avenue Flags area. And I just wanted to get together with him and Rose and just try to see if there's a couple spots right south of Ellen's that we could put truck parking. And I'd like to review that. And I don't know if that's something we have to all talk about or whether we can go over it. And the other parking idea was the parking in front of the Hampton Inn on McMurray Road. It's just a waste of a street there for parking. There's room to park probably 20 cars there. And it's just a pull-off lane for one hotel. And I'd like to go over changing the whole situation there so we can have parking instead of a pull-off lane. Because right now we have a total pull-off lane for one business, and that area could be used for parking. That was one. I don't know if that's something we could discuss.
I think that's worth the discussion. I'm not sure that that's a budget discussion, but.
I think both of those projects are small enough in scope financially that we can probably handle that through a discussion at the retreat as well. They're both relatively short-term projects, very easy to implement if the council decides to go that way.
And we'll be updated on the zoning that we've established there prior to taking action.
I'm sorry?
Just the zoning, what we originally zoned it for, so we don't step on somebody's toes that someone
we'll make sure.
Condition during construction that is being violated or vacated.
Yeah, we'll make sure as part of the planning moving forward that all that is taken into consideration. But we can discuss that further. We'll have some exhibits prepared for the city council at the retreat to discuss this.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
I had another budget idea. I guess it's a budget. I had an idea of subsidizing a ring for residents, so that residents that would have a ring, camera in a strategic area on corners or places around town, that we could have a program to help fund the citizens to have a ring that would be something that the sheriffs could view, so that we would kind of have more eyes on the street. And I don't know if that's going to be discussed with the sheriff's department, but it would be something we would have to kind of subsidize.
Get their opinion. That they must have tried it somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard of it before.
Subsidize it, though? Usually when something happens in town, the people that do have the security cameras immediately step up and turn over what they've got to the police department. Is this something that needs to be subsidized?
Well, I was just thinking people in this, like on a street corner, that you'd like to have, if somebody kind of like applied to be subsidized for it, if somebody wanted to offer to have the camera access to, I don't know if the cameras are accessed by the sheriff's department. It's kind of but if there was cameras at certain areas that we could have on account more or less that we could view. It's just an idea. I've heard of it being done in other places. I don't know exactly what the logistics are for it. Or we'll have for future discussion.
This particular issue actually fits in rather well with a longer term overall security and crime prevention project I've been working on. We had talked previously about the potential for license plate readers and other cameras at key intersections in the city. This would be something that could be easily implemented and relatively inexpensively implemented within our residential areas. We'd have to do a little bit of research on that, but we could certainly fold it in with that project moving forward. It's probably again it's a small, very precise project, probably not suited as a full council goal, but we can certainly fold it in with some of the other projects that are already moving forward and bring that back, for a budget adjustment down the road when that's fleshed out a little better.
Well, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Madam Mayor, other cities that I work with have engaged in a program like that with Ring. I don't know that Ring's still doing it, but at the time, the city provided some funding that it essentially was given to Ring, and then the city was given a number of codes. The codes were given out to residents on a first come, first served basis, and then the residents would apply that. And what generally happened was that Ring matched the amount of money that the city put in. So if the city put in, say, $20,000, Ring's overall reduction in price would be $40,000. And so the codes might be for $40 off for 1,000 households, where the city had put up $20 per household, Ring put up 20, and it was a way to get their product out. And as Mayor Pro Tem says, the sheriffs and other people certainly don't mind having those Ring cameras on doorbells these days. So it is a legitimate program that the company's running and well worth looking into to see if they're still running it today.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay. Good job, John. Any other goals, priorities, objectives? This isn't the end of it. I mean, if anybody comes up with a brainstorm at 2:00 tomorrow morning, write it down so you don't forget it. And this isn't a completed project, but I appreciate everybody's patience in going through what we have done and what can be done in the next 2 years. And with that, I'm moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the City Council, I have a couple of items for you this evening. The first one has to do with COVID vaccines. As I reported at the last meeting, the county's doing a bang-up job in terms of getting the COVID vaccines distributed. Where they're having a bottleneck is actually in the receipt of the vaccines that are being allocated to the county. The state may be changing the way that allocation takes place and whether or not those are actually being allocated to the county or whether they're being allocated to different organizations, community clinics, hospitals, pharmacies, that sort of thing. We're not sure which way that's going to go right now. What I would suggest for anyone interested in getting a vaccine, particularly those at this point who are 75 years and older, is that you contact the county public health department. You can look on their website and get periodic updates as to when there may be appointments available. We had some appointments available earlier this week. I notified our senior center and the Ranch Club Estates office to let them know that those are available and have people call in. I'll continue to do that as those are as I'm made aware of that, but I don't always get those right away when they come out. So the best bet is for people who are interested to check the website and make sure if there is some availability, they can sign up for those appointments right away. Secondly, also somewhat COVID related, the county has set aside a considerable amount of money for the purpose of offering rental and utility payment assistance to residents of Santa Barbara County who are having difficulties making their housing payments or making their utility payments. That program will begin taking applications, and those applications could be good for up to $6,000 over a 3-month period for families that are eligible. Applications will be taken beginning next week, and I'm not sure exactly which day next week, but they will be taken beginning next week through the United Way of Santa Barbara County. That's the organization the county's chosen to administer that program. So I've posted something to the city's Facebook page this evening. We'll get that up on the city's website as well. There should be a lot of publicity going on about that in the next few days. But again, United Way of Santa Barbara County, that's the agency to go through their website, and the application should be up sometime next week. And with that, I'll conclude my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All righty then, Mr. Murphy, you're up next.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council will now adjourn into closed session to discuss two items, both litigation matters. One, under Government Code Section 54956.9D2, which is facts and circumstances that may result in litigation against the city, but which are not yet known to the potential plaintiff. And the second is under Government Code Section 54956.9D4, which is the city potentially initiating litigation. Thank you very much, and I will make a report to the city clerk for publication after the meeting is over.
Thank you. And Linda sent emails to all of us with the call-in number and code. It's 7:01 now. Why don't we all regroup at 7:10? And I don't think we did any records tonight, but we got some good stuff accomplished. So that was good. So see y'all on the phone, or talk to y'all on the phone in about 9 minutes.
Hey, you missed your record by
you.
more than
Thank you.
Yeah, you know.